Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Today, the only regret I have marrying a Filipina. People don't usually even want to know from others when things are going on. Hey, do you have any regrets? Maybe after it's over. If it doesn't work out, you might find out about regrets. So I wanted to kind of break the ground and talk about regrets today because a subscriber asked me one day if I had any regrets in this marriage. Getting married in less than 8 weeks, proposed on day 18, going 9,800 miles to the Philippines to get married. So that's a fair question, and this is something that hadn't crossed my mind before, so I thought it would take some time, put some thoughts down. As always, I hope that you can learn from what I say. I'm not the final authority on anything. I try to follow the Word of God in my marriage that is almost 7.5 years old now, despite that very unusual beginning. And I just want to share as our relationship develops. And I know many men have contacted me and left comments about their own interest in the Filipina. So keep subscribing here and watching, because this channel, Love Beyond the Sea, exists to help foreigners and Filipinas have a good marriage. And the advice, I think, can be used for anyone. And, in the case of LDR, even before contacting someone online to being motivated, thoughts on providing for her at death, and everywhere in between. Try to think about all of that and hope it runs the gamut the longer I am married and the more I can share. So let me start with 2 possible regrets that pop up regularly in comments over the years, and I'll conclude with my only regret. One, you hear this a lot, getting married too soon. Usually it's in the form of, you'll regret it. It'll never last. Give it 3 years and she's gone, or 7 years for sure. We already passed that mark. It's possible to marry a Filipina in a lot less time than it would take in another country, and you should go where you're wanted. A lot of Americans, where I'm from, and Western men look to the Philippines. For me, this was a good thing, as I had been looking and waiting for someone for a long time, and someone that would be reciprocal with. When people speculate that a couple got married too soon, I think they're saying that they got married, or at least one of them, probably the husband, got married without some critical thinking about the relationship. Maybe they didn't listen to others' advice. I think that can happen even when couples are together for several years or more, that they can avoid the critical thinking part. When the husband is older, like I am, it's possible he has figured out over the years what is important and what isn't, and what is more important than other things. And so he may be in a good position to put more emphasis on the younger Filipina's total well-being than when he was younger even. My priorities changed over the years. And I kept studying the Bible about marriage, any source I could get, as much as I could, to help be prepared for if and when I got married. And I was certainly hoping that it would. So I just try to share my blueprint here on Love Beyond the Sea. Another one, and you could can throw age gap in there, is that a regret? No, it hasn't been, or getting married too soon. What about sending money to the Philippines? You don't know exactly how this will need to be worked out until you've been married a while. You can address it before getting married in a general way. I wouldn't suggest making any hard and fast boundaries and dollar amounts right away. You just never know what could happen. It could be a burial, another legitimate need, major medical, some other unexpected and unavoidable circumstance. How much are you willing to help with a major surgery or cancer treatment, which can cost tens of thousands of US dollars? And for which person? Everybody or mama and papa? Just talking about with your wife should be productive, even if it's in ballpark figures. This is also just part of marrying a Filipina. If you're married to an American woman, you might complain that she wastes a lot of money on all kinds of things that she doesn't need. She's high maintenance, has expensive tastes. But if you marry a Filipina, she likely has a family that she is supporting, cares about very much, and is expected to continue to support. That much you should know, and now you do if you didn't before. And all the support we have sent back home has been for necessities or above that by, our own choice. It has been intended for good and has done well. in either event, you can't easily keep the money at home. It's going to have to go out some. Now here's my only regret in marrying a Filipina. My amazing eyes. I'll give full disclosure here. My only regret, if I could call it that, now being married for about 7.5 years, is that I didn't do it earlier. I'm almost going to say that after ruminating it for a while that I had no regrets. However, that wouldn't be entirely true. The only regret, I didn't do it sooner. I was 53 at that time, 2015, do the math. It wasn't ancient, but I was beginning to feel that way. I assumed I'd be married by the time I was 25, a long time ago. The way it worked out, there was no way that was going to happen. It seemed like women at 25 already were married, had somebody moved on with their life, moved out of the state. But not so with the Philippines. You have a chance. There are many women, your age, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, who wonder if they are, that will get an opportunity. It's not an old man's game. And I recommend people in their 20s and 30s look to the Philippines rather than wait 10 or 20 more years like I did and then, waiting too long. So that's what I mean, that I didn't do it earlier is kind of a regret. The Philippines, you have a chance. Go where you're wanted. There's someone for everyone, I would like to think. I have no problem saying that I need this little woman from Davao City, Philippines. I need her in my life, and she is such a blessing. I have never wondered, what my life would be like had I met her earlier, really, because the idea of a foreign wife, a woman in another country, was just not realistic. Before I met her, I had never considered it. Before my pastor suggested, what about another country? Before I thought another city would be ludicrous, not to mention another country. But since it did work out well, and I even have a book here that I put together, it's like 573 pages. It's available on the lvbts.com website. It talks about our life the first 6 years or so, just generalities. I'm not going to be too terribly specific. I'm not going to, some things have to be private. But I did want to share that so that other men who feel like giving up might not necessarily do things exactly the way I did, but you don't want to have any regrets. You certainly don't want your regret to be that you didn't try, or you thought, well, yeah, it worked for Bob, and yeah, it works for others, but could it work for me? I don't know. It's something for you to think about, because it's getting harder to find somebody in the West. So go where you're wanted. I really haven't had any real major regrets with my love beyond the sea.